Hello, people. Welcome to Aurora IAS. Yet another discussion on ethics, integrity, aptitude by the chapter name Attitude. So, what's an attitude? Attitude is a tendency of having a dislike or liking towards a place, subject, and event. Let us understand through this example. In this diagram, you can see behavior is on the one side. On the other side, we have intentions, which is predetermined or influenced by attitude, subjective norms, and perceived control. Suppose, let's for example take the blood donation campaign. Your behavior in giving your blood in the donation campaign depends upon the attitude you have towards the blood donation concept. If you feel saving other person's soul by donating blood, you will obviously have an intention to go and donate your blood. On the other hand, if you feel that on donating blood it might help other person, but you yourself you will be feeling weak for 1 week or 2 week, and it will eventually deteriorate your performance at the office, then your behavior will be against to it. You will not go and participate in the blood donation campaign. This is the very basic example for attitude understanding. Here one person had liking, another person had a dislike towards it. So this is determined by the kind of a belief system he had and based on the emotion components. So attitude is nothing but a combination of belief and emotion. Let's understand the difference between belief and attitude. Belief is something which has an inner feeling attached to it. It has nothing to do whether it's true or untrue, rational or irrational. It is just a belief system. That number 5 is lucky to me. It's not a universal principle, right? Like number 5 is universally lucky for all the people. It is just a belief system which I believe in. Whereas the attitude says that what you feel about a person feeling a number as lucky to him, whether you like this phenomena or you dislike this phenomena. That is attitude. A belief system, from a recent example, let's take, if she or he believes that triple talaq bill will inhibit gender inequality, then what kind of an attitude he or she will generate? He will say that triple talaq, I am against triple talaq bill, or I am for the bill. So this is assessing your belief, is your inner feeling, is belief. Whereas attitude is assessing your attitude towards a bill, like liking or disliking it. Psychology. This attitude is a part of a psychology, important part of psychology, where it understands how thoughts, feelings, individuals influence each other, how your belief system, thoughts will influence your behavior finally. So for example, if I believe charity will give me self-satisfaction, then I will like people who do charity. So the belief system that charity will give self-satisfaction created an attitude of I like people who do charity. If I have a belief system that smoking is injurious to health, then I'll have an attitude of I hate people who smoke. Next, we'll understand this yet another good example through the diagram. Like an attitude will determine your behavior. Any kind of dissonance or conflicts going on into your cognitive thinking, your attitude will give you an answer to it. So the action or the solution which you are giving will yield some results in a positive, negative, or a neutral way. That will in turn determine your performance. It will raise up or deteriorate or remain as it is. The performance results also depends in a way will determine your attitude, whether you're going to change your attitude towards the project again or you're continuing the same ways of approaching the project. The same way, this mindset is totally a different game altogether depending upon the kind of attitude you try to inculcate with you. What are the characteristics? Characteristics is that the man attitude is cultivated by the interaction with his surroundings. Suppose if I stand up for honesty as a value inside you, you have an attitude, positive attitude towards honesty. No matter what happens, if I'm rewarded or punished, I will stand up as a witness for an accident case and go to the police station and give the complaint or witness in the case. Otherwise, I will not go because it is punishing witnesses at the police station. So these are the two different attitudes you're generating depending upon the interactions you have with your surroundings, which is also known as the socialization. You have some values and beliefs which are underlying. Your attitude can be negative, neutral, or ambiguous also, whether to choose a bank job or whether to choose an UPSC profession to continue with this preparation or to jump onto another preparation. This is an ambiguous situation. It all depends upon your attitude, which is about the belief system. You want to empower people with a more proactive services to the society, then you go for the UPSC. If you are willing to do a 10 to 5 job or when you are interested in an economic kind of a sector, then you go for the bank job. It's just the attitude, a kind of an attitude, whether you're going for a bank job or a UPSC. It's not correct or right or incorrect. Nothing is very true in this perspective. The only thing which is important in this perspective is having a kind of an attitude towards seeing a place, object, and event. Then it can be enduring, which is integral to your personality. Within your personality you have it, you have it because you have seen from your parents, school teachers, or the religious institutions you have been associated, and next your organization level where you have been associating. And it can be acquired through socialization also. It can be ambiguous at situations, as well as it has a tendency to behave in a certain way based on your beliefs and value systems. And some for more definitions on attitude, we have the psychological tendency that evaluates an entity with a degree of favor or disfavor, while these beliefs and feelings will have a predispositions towards a people, group, and ideas are the some more definitions of the attitude. But why do we need to cultivate the positive attitudes? For better well-being. You want to have a peaceful life at the end of the day. You have to have the empowered soul with a better relationship at the personal and workplace level. Important part of the identity, like you want to be identified as a unique agent. People should be happy with you. People should want you to be participating in their social events. Then this positive attitude is very important, because any human being, no matter which culture or which region he is brought up, everybody thinks on one line that we want to be defined as what other thinks about us. It is just this definition that will determine your attitude. What's the difference between the values, attitude, and behavior? We were talking about the values and belief systems. Belief we understood. There's an inner feeling which can be true or untrue. Yes, but what are values? Values are actually the kind of importance given to some few attributes. Like you value honesty, so your belief system will be based that standing up for honesty is good. So attitude will be like, I like to be honest, I like honest people. So based on the situations, the behavior is you will act honest. Even if your friend is cheating in the exam, he might be your best friend, childhood friend. In spite of that, you will stand up and complain against him. That is what the behavior tendency would be. So this example here given is that if you stand up for a value of punctuality, your attitude will say that I like people who are punctual, whereas your behavior would say that you will attend class on time, or you prefer going and sitting in the classroom or going to a live session rather than a recorded session. So this is the difference between values, attitude, and behavior. There is a structure for attitude. How attitude is actually formed. The structure is a three-layered structure. First one is cognition, second emotion, and third is behavioral component. Let's understand this concept with an example. Let's take this example of PM Ujjwala scheme, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala scheme, where the LPG connections would be given on the eldest women of the member of the house. So this is a recent case in the column of Hindu newspaper where I've taken this example from. It says that this scheme is not being that successful. They're preferring to cook the food on the normal traditional chulhas rather than the LPG cylinders. Why? Because they have a belief that they have a thought process going in the mind that roti made on gas stove is not good for health. So this is a cognitive thought process is going on into their minds. The emotional component of this aspect is that because they have a thought process going of roti made on gas stove is not good for health, they have an emotional component saying that if I eat such rotis, I might fall sick. Maybe my livelihood would be affected if I fall sick. I cannot go to work on days if I eat this roti made on gas stove. And what will the behavior attitude be? Behavior is that you will stop participating in that scheme. You will not enroll yourself into the scheme and get the LPG. You will continue to use the traditional chulhas only. So this kind of a structure is created, an attitude against the scheme. So you will not be in favor of the scheme. This is the major reason why this scheme is not actually reaping the benefits, although intention is a true one. Right. So there is another concept here, stereotyping and prejudices. There is difference, vast difference between them, but often we use it overlapping. But there is a difference. Stereotyping is something like, suppose in the old Rajanagar itself, we have a stereotyping belief system, that overgeneralized belief that South Indians, just because you have seen 2-3 friends of yours South Indians behaving, so you generalize on them that South Indians are like this and North Indians are like this. A bridge is created. This is overgeneralization. Whereas prejudices is just a prejudgment. Because before becoming aware of anything, you pass on judgments. That is prejudice. Like racism, blacks are inferior to white. That is prejudice. Whereas stereotyping is that people with black color are not favorable in my working environment. So that is stereotyping. You're stereotyping based on the skin tone of the persons. Whereas prejudices is having a judgment on a particular kind of a object or a person, whereas stereotyping on a larger group, right? So understanding this, let's go into the types of the attitudes. Types of the attitude, there are two types of attitudes. One is implicit, another is explicit. With the definition itself, we can understand implicit is something which is not conscious for us. Like we feel that blacks are inferior. They feel that blacks are inferior. Why? Because they are having a belief system which has been imbibed or given, pressurized upon them since the ages of industrial revolution. That is why there is an implicit, non-consciously or not being aware of it, they think that they're inferior, but it is not so. Explicit attitude. Explicit is something like, you have consciously know about the thing, and when you don't have an interest for a math subject, what's the point in becoming a mechanical engineering? You will not be good at calculations. Eventually you end up doing nothing. So that is what you are aware of, your internal skill or internal interest or internal belief system. You very well know about it, and that's why your behavior also will be in tune with it. Now the functions of attitude, the 4 functions. One is knowledge. You need to have a very good knowledge about anything before determining, or in fact writing the exam by this subject name also. You need to have a good knowledge about it. Why do you have? Because you get an organized and a structured answer. The same thing, knowledge function will play an important role in determining your attitude. First function. Then there is an ego defensive function, which is like to protect your self-esteem or the self-ego of a person. We right away go into the arguments or make justifications which always prove our point is right. The same thing, a laborer, can anybody go and win an argument with a laborer who feels alcoholism will bring him a good sound sleep after a laborious day? That is what ego defensive. Defensive by the ego, self-esteem, to protect it, to protect from the depression out of it. You are using this function to create an attitude towards an object. Then there is another value expressive function which says that expressing one core values and beliefs, what we stand for. You have seen like brand advertisements by different personalities. It's because they understand that you have a liking for these personalities. In turn, you will prefer the objects. You are very well aware of the fact that you have an attitude negative towards the TV commercials promoting the skin whitening creams. You very well know that overnight nobody becomes so fair by applying those creams, but still you would prefer buying it because your favorite hero or heroine is promoting it. That is what is intended through these commercial advertisements also, and that is in turn a value expressive function. Then the utility function. Utility function is that suppose a politician woos the minority population by saying the saying few points from the election manifesto, that after he comes into power, he'll be giving them OBC status or SC/ST status for their caste and all that. Why? It's because he's trying to utilize that function of attitude, creating and rewarding or pleasing tendencies in the people to utilize their votes and get into power. So that is a utility function. So there are 4 functions: knowledge, ego defensive, value expressive, and utility. And how an attitude forms. At individual level, child imitates a family attitudes, like her mom or his mom. The behavior with the domestic helper will be seen by these children at the young age, and when they grow up to the age of parents, they also will behave because they think that that is what is actually true. The belief system of the child is based on that. Next, the institutions, the schools, institutions, religious institutions also plays a very important role in the attitude formation. Group level, workplace and peer group influence, culture, faith, education, experience, everything in all totality will affect your actual behavior. There are some theories based on which the attitude formation is based on. How is it formed? Like, first one theory is learning theory. One is the classical condition, which I've already discussed, like the TV commercials who says that they associate positive feelings with some person or an object for a group identity. So that is classical conditioning. There is an operant conditioning where you are only strengthening the desirable attitudes and weakening the undesirable ones. Like, for the example, parents tell their children that on completion of homework you will be rewarded with an ice cream or going out to some place or something. And just like that, employer also will say that you will be we have a contest of weekly targets. If you complete this much target, you will be rewarded with the best employer. So these are kind of strengthening the actual desirable attitudes. Desirable here is that you have to be dedicated, you have to be committed, you have to work on time, you have to be punctual. All these attitudes are being strengthened with the operant condition. Then there is observational learning kind of one theory where you observe people and then change your attitudes. Like, for example, any social experiment you see on the TV channels, like people in a cafe stand up for the national anthem. You yourself will also stand up and stand up for the national anthem. Why? Because you are observing the other people. You feel that, okay, yes, maybe you might not have a positive attitude towards standing up during the national anthem, but by the observation learning, okay, let's also stand up. That is an other way of attitude formation. Likelihood theory of attitude change, like for the example, LIC schemes or the insurance schemes you will be always seeing, or the real estate schemes where people around or you will get calls on your phone regarding the purchase of the flats at a very lucrative rates and all that. That is likelihood theory. These are persuasion techniques that people use to alter your attitudes. Dissonance theory is another way theory of attitude formation, where in order to reduce the tension created by the beliefs, you ought to change your own behavior. You know that. So let's understand the influence and relation of attitude with the thought and behavior. Before understanding how attitude determines your behavior, there are three important points we have to understand. That attitude is only developed over a time. Every stage of your life you progress through is a product of the previous stages, experiences and emotions you relate to these stages that you carry on to the other stages of your life as you proceed. And there is an attitude relevance that if suppose the officer believes in gender equality, then his attitude towards the pay scale in the office will be equal for the men and women. This is showing the stronger attitude in congruence to the stronger behavior. And there is a sudden attempt, if there is a sudden attempt to reverse any kind of an attitude change, then there may be resistance. So we have to be very well aware of it. The same thing has happened in Renewable Bharat Abhiyan program also. Why is it not successful? Because you try to not change the behavioral or the attitudinal changes, rather you straight away went into the construction of toilets, making it mandatory, which is not going to be successful. That is why the re-enhanced program is the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which is now progressing, which is now as a progressive idea. It's targeting the behavioral and attitudinal change. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Andolan also. This program is a very important one because it is trying to make parents aware, the society aware, that patriarchy is no more a norm in this modern society. So these examples you can use it for it. And the Galileo example you always know. Making an sudden attempt to make people understand will only get a resistance from them. Rather, it's a slow progress. There are 4 cases on how attitude will determine your behavior. One case is that attitude in congruence with the behavior. So when we shall behave in consonance with your attitude. One is when you have a very generic or a specific issue on which you have a same level of understanding, same level of opinion among the group or among the family or among the friends, then your attitude and behavior would be same. When your beliefs and attitudes are examined which involve your own ego, when you have a group support of right people, and to minimize the social influences, you have a very strong attitude. No matter what people say, you will be punished if you go and witness or if you blow the whistle at the right point of time, still you will go and give the witness. So that shows the strong attitude, where the attitude and behavior will be. So let's see another case, case 2 of behavior and not in congruence to the attitude. You believe in something, you have a value system for something else, and you end up showing up your actions in other way, altogether a different way. There an experiment conducted by La Perry study group, where a Chinese couple who visited US after the post-World War times were not welcomed so well. Chinese people usually were not welcomed at that point of time in the US, but this couple somehow managed, were welcomed everywhere. They lodged in various hotels in the US except for one hotel. After they left the US, there was a questionnaire given to every other lodging group, where they have to give their opinions based on some statement. There was a statement like, would you welcome any Chinese couple being lodged at your hotels? All the hotel people have answered like yes, they would do it. There was only one hotel who outrightly wrote on the paper saying that we'll not welcome any Chinese couple into the lodging purposes. So this shows a total very good example for this case too, that although they have an attitude of not welcoming, but still they have behaved in a way, they have welcomed this couple and they have given their lodging facilities. This is an experiment showing like you believe something else while you behave something, the behavior comes altogether a different thing. The case 3 is something related to your negative behavior but with a positive attitude. For example, you know that you are a law abiding citizen, you follow laws to a very good extent, but in a hurried situation, the circumstances made you jump off the red light. So what kind of a behavior you showed? You showed a very negative behavior, because your attitude is very positive, strong, that you're a law-abiding citizen. But at that point of time, your attitude is not so strong. That is why you showed a very negative behavior. So then behavior is also impacted, although you have a strong or positive attitude. Now, the case 4 goes with the thing that for a comic sensation, I have just written this sentence. Please don't write it in your answer paper, just to make you understand it. Like for a person going to the North Korea and praising Trump, nobody would do that at this point of time, at least at this point of time, because you know what kind of a dissonance it will create at that point of time in that location. Since you're going to North Korea, Trump is not welcome there, his ideas are always negated, so there are some tensions in it. So there is a kind of a cognitive dissonance, because the person will experience a kind of a distress. There is a conflicting thoughts and belief there. That is why your behavior and attitude will be aligned. So although you have a good attitude towards the policies of the US government, but still at that place, since your behavior has to be changed, thus your attitude is also changed in congruence to your behavior, in order to just reduce the tension or change the people attitudes. Now there are various factors. Now we have seen the cognitive dissonance, right? Your thought process has changed, the behavior has been changed, and later your attitude also is being changed. Why is it being changed? There are some intervening factors between this attitude and behaviors, which are called situations. What kind of situations are impacting your behavior, although you have a different attitude or different behavior, not in sync with each other? One is habits. Habits is like in appropriate situations with minimum thinking, you just jump off the red light. Then a social norm, and social norm is that you have to adhere to some social standards of those society. So the Khap Panchayat, recent Kevin got murdered because of the Khap Panchayat dikkat, that same gotra marriages or marriages from different intersect religions will not be happening. So this social norm is also acting as a barrier between the attitude and behavior. So although you have an attitude of promoting the girl child marriage through any other sect or any other religion you promoted, but since there is a societal norm, you will not behave in that way. Then you have an expected consequences for any kind of a behavior. If rewards are expected, then you will be encouraged to act in some way. But if there is some consistency with your attitude, the behavior would be totally different. And now the qualities of a person. If you are highly integrity, you have a very high integrity and emotional intelligence on the higher side, you encourage the congruence behavior, just like the Gandhiji's non-violence principle. The accessibility of attitude. On regular basis, if you exercise your attitude, then there will be a lots of predicament of the behavior. You will behave in the same way as you behaved in the previous act. But how to change the attitude? That is the actual. This forms your end of the conclusion of the chapter as well as your any answer you're writing. But how to develop this? One, that you have a direct exposure, direct experiences and social learning, where you have a observational learning, that you show up such examples where these people have break the stereotyping, and thus you have to change your attitude and behavior towards such issues. You have to be aware. Integrity and truthfulness are the very basic important constituents of it. Develop the emotional intelligence component. Be self-aware, self-regulate. Social empathy skills is important thing. Now when Priyadarshini, she is belongs to the LGBT community, who has broken the stereotype borders, like she has become the police officer of the Tamil Nadu police services. So this is breaking the stereotype. When these people break this such stereotype, this overgeneralization would stop. The attitude, belief system will have an impact. Thus the behavior of the society towards such people will also be different. Now changing the existing beliefs like role play, nataks and all these will be placed at even at the children school level. Why is it placed? Because it is trying to inculcate the values that when you are taking up a role of a person, you know the goodness, you are reciting his dialogues, you are reciting his feelings, you are reciting his belief system. So you in a way tend to get influenced by the personality. Thus this role play will play a very important role, not for the people who are watching also, and it is also important for the person who is playing that role in the drama. Then create a personal needs and aspirations, like performance based appraisals will also give a very good kind of an attitude, positive attitude towards the work environment. And intervening environment factors you need to understand. You're habituated to smoke, drink, prohibition of liquor is not a big thing for you and all that. But things like this, see, in a Padman movie, if you see in the beginning of the movie itself, the Akshay Kumar says that he prefers a sanitary napkin packet over a cigarette packet. He estimates that cost effective ratio and the benefits also he'll be telling. So this is what you have to always analyze in any of the conflicts wherever it is coming. Any intervening factor, suppose Khap Panchayat dikkat has been given, or Sharia law dikkat has been given, or the Hindu laws is saying that beef eating person is not a true man, true religious man. So get that intervening factors and understand, analyze that Khap Panchayat, it's a societal norm. Now it's a globalized world. You can marry a man of your choice. Then you have to even justify that beef eating is just a food habit. It has nothing to do with terrorism, or it's nothing to do with a religion. You can end your answer with this: adopting the right attitude can convert a negative stress into a positive one. That is very eminent in any workplace or the governance or public administration. Now for questions for practice, I have given 3 questions which you can pen down your thoughts and comment it below. How attitude influences behavior, discuss with some examples, like you can use the example of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and civil servant personality examples also, who have brought in a lot of changes by the influencing the behavior. And then there is a second example of so let's see the questions for practice, which you can pen down your thoughts in the comment section below. How attitude influences behavior, discuss some examples, use Swachh Bharat Abhiyan scheme as why the previous Nirmal Bharat scheme failed, and personality examples, civil servant examples, or the normal people of your society who have brought lots of changes have to be quoted here. And then there is an attitude shape our thoughts and behavior. Do you agree? Substantiate with the real life experiences. So the attitude always will be shaped by our thoughts, and it will shape our behavior also. You enroll in a course because you have an attitude of towards the learning. Learning is a very important attitude you believe in, so you enroll in a course. Or you pursue the career of your choice because you have a belief system that self-satisfaction is more important than any monetary value. So such kind of examples can be given and substantiated. Well, the third question is, what are the different components of attitude, which was already seen. Then you can explain how they will affect your overall behavior. Like each of the component you can take it, like cognition, emotion, behavior, knowledge function, utility function, how in each of the situation, take for example, experiment everything on you yourself, like which in a kind of situation, aspirant situation you are in, and try to apply and give various reasons for it. Now you can end your answer, and this is the right quotation to end this video itself, that Winston Churchill has said this: life will always happen to one as it happens to everybody, but one's attitude will determine how far one gets in life. Thus it is rightly said that attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Brilliant, right? You use it. So that is all for this video session on attitude. Hope you enjoy the session as well as you're enjoying the series also. Do like, share, subscribe and comment below for all your requirements on what kind of videos you want me to make on that could help your preparation level. Any kind of queries or any kind of suggestions, please pen it down through the comment section. Happy studying, happy learning.